Sweats Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the things we like to do when we're off the clock and not working. Tonight, I'm joined by my handsome buddy.
Oh, I thought you said you were going to say it. I'm Derick. Hi.
Sorry. I meant I was going to introduce you.
And who are you?
And I am Ryan, as always. So, if you have been watching, we have been doing a series of scary movies for October. For Halloween time, we have done It, the 2017 movie, and then we most recently did the first Paranormal Activity. And tonight, we are talking about a movie that I have not seen before until seeing it for this episode.
Same.
Yeah, so both our first times watching this movie, and it is Child's Play, the 1988 original film that sparked a franchise, a big franchise. How
many movies are there? I don't even know that.
4 or 5. There are 7 or 8. I think there's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8. There are 8 Child's Play movies, or movies with Chucky in them. The most recent one, I think, was 2019. Yeah, that's actually, I saw that pop up on Hulu. I was in the scary movie section. I saw that pop up, and I was like, I think it's just a remake of the original, honestly.
You're like, I haven't caught the last 6.
Yeah.
So.
And I'll admit the doll in that one just looks off to me. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like kind of creepy, but it just looks, I don't know, just looks kind of derpy to me. Can't really put my finger on it. You can look at a picture later. But yeah, as always with these movie episodes, I have some notes here about the film itself. So I'm just gonna run down the list here. I'm gonna hit you really hard. I'm gonna hit you so hard. Get ready.
I'm ready.
Tense up, baby. Clench those cheeks. Ooh, what?
Oh, I pulled something.
Oh no.
Go.
We're hold. All right. So IMDb score for this, a 6.7 for a scary movie. That's pretty solid out of 121,000 votes. Not bad whatsoever.
Do you remember what our last 2 were?
I think it was it was in the 7s. And I think Paranormal Activity was in that like 6.5 range. I'm pretty sure.
And this is what?
This is 6.7. So okay. I usually said like anything 7 and above for IMDb is really good. Mm-hmm. For like a scary movie, I'll say anything like 6 and above is rock solid because critics are always more critical of scary movies.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that this, I mean, we'll probably touch on it later, but I mean, this is a movie that neither of us have seen, really. And I know that it's one of those, like, I don't want to say historic franchises, but like it's one of the, it's like one of the bedrock horror movies.
It's iconic.
When I think of it.
It's definitely an iconic franchise. Like if you are a scary movie fan, or at least like familiar with scary movies, you know Chucky. Like you recognize his face.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, I'm not enough of an expert to like put him on the Mount Rushmore, but I mean, in my experience, he's on there for me with like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, those guys. He's kind of like in that same realm for me. So on the Mount Rushmore of horror movie or scary movie protagonists, I guess, or villains, I guess. I don't know, actually. For a scary movie, are they the protagonist or are they the villain? Like they're both, I guess.
I'm pretty sure he's firmly the villain.
He's the villain, but also like that's why he's the reason you're seeing the movie. So I guess the protagonist is usually the good person. So
versus an antagonist, right?
Yeah, I guess that's the definition, right? Yeah, so like on the Mount Rushmore of scary movie people, I would say Chucky is firmly in there for me, at least. I'm not an expert. I haven't seen every scary movie ever, but I do feel like most people, if you were to survey most people, they would probably put like Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees,
Chucky.
I think he makes it for me at least. And
yeah,
I think
if not, then he's definitely coming off the bench. 100%.
Right? He's an first honorable mention for sure. Yeah, if casuals would agree, I think. So yeah, and this franchise is iconic. Like we had just said, this movie spawned 7 sequels and remakes.
That's nuts. Yeah,
and I've not seen any of them besides, well, in full. I haven't seen any of them in full besides this one.
Yeah.
So kind of like Paranormal Activity, which has a bunch of new movies. I kind of maybe want to dive into this franchise after seeing this.
Yeah. I wonder if they fall off at all in quality. I mean, it's kind of inevitable.
Yeah.
Like, it can't just be, Barney Stinson's Get Hype mix where it's just all up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Something has to take a step back, but I wonder how early in that 8 movie stretch it is.
Yeah, so what
I heard 2's good. I heard 2's good and scarier than 1.
Really? Okay. I
heard.
I did hear that they kind of ramp up the kills a bit. Like the kill count's larger and the kills themselves are a little more gruesome. So that's cool though. And I actually think the kills in this movie are actually pretty solid overall. But anyway, continuing with my list of facts here, I already said IMDb was 6.7. The Rotten Tomatoes critic score 74%, which is really high for a movie like this. I was pretty surprised by that. Audience score 65. That's still pretty good. So we're looking good on the IMDb and Rotten Tomato front for this movie. The director, Tom Holland, not Spider-Man, not his father either. I did check that. I was like, is this Tom Holland's dad? Is Tom Holland Jr.? I don't know. But it is not. He is just a different Tom Holland. Starring Catherine Hicks, who played the mom, Karen.
Which is so funny. When we were talking, I think after the Paranormal Activity, or maybe before, but Chris was saying like, oh man, it's so weird seeing the mom from Seventh Heaven in a horror movie. And I'm like, that's where I know her from.
Yeah, I'm not a Seventh Heaven guy. I don't know. So, but, leave it to Chris.
It just always used to be on ABC Family after we got home from school. So it was just kind of on.
I couldn't even tell you what that show is even about.
I can barely tell you, and it's not for this episode. So.
Yeah,
but I think I saw this maybe a week or 2 ago. I rewatched it just before recording today, and now knowing that it's a mom from Seventh Heaven changed it for me a little bit.
Did it? Because
I'm like, that's her. That's her. That's her.
That's Seventh Heaven mom. Alex Vincent plays the kid, Andy. He's actually appeared, and when I was doing some research on this, I saw that he's actually appeared in multiple movies. So he plays like an older version of himself in the later installments, which is pretty funny and pretty cool.
Yeah, that's sick.
And Brad Dourif, who plays the iconic Chucky and provides the iconic voice for him as well. I do love his voice in this movie. It is good. It's like I just from like not even seeing this movie, but just like seeing bits and pieces of the Child's Play franchise over the years, like that voice is just in my head. Like as soon as I heard it, I was like, that's Chucky. And then speaking of like familiar actors, do you recognize Chris Sarandon, who plays Detective Norris in this movie?
I mean, I know the actor, but I can't name what he's been in.
Okay, well, one of your favorite movies of all time. Prince Humperdinck in The Princess Bride. And he's the voice of Jack Skellington in The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until I did some internet research.
Yeah, I always, like, in my mind, I pair that with, like, Danny Elfman or whatever, but I guess that's for the singing parts, right?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But, yeah, I mean, I want to rewatch this movie just knowing that it's Prince Humperdinck. I knew he looked familiar. I was like, this guy looks like a guy that I know. He has like that face, and lo and behold, Prince Humperdinck.
Which is weird because like when I looked at him, I'm like, I think in my mind, I'm still picturing Humperdinck, just like the one shot of him just like standing there with the back or with his back to the sky, and I'm like, why did I not put that together if that's already what I'm thinking of?
And Princess Bride came out the year before this too, so he's like riding the coattails of that movie into this one, which is just like, I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, it's Princess Bride guy, it's Humperdinck.
Emotional whiplash.
Yeah, basically. All right, so I got some fun facts here. Couple pulled from the IMDb trivia page.
Yep, as you wish.
Yeah. So Chucky's full name in like when he's human, Charles Lee Ray.
Yeah.
Which you probably could just guess from hearing it. It's derived from some of the most notorious serial killers of all time. So we have Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, and James Earl Ray. Now, if you don't know James Earl Ray, he killed Martin Luther King, and obviously Lee Harvey Oswald killed John F. Kennedy. So a little derivative of those three guys, kind of the conglomeration or the fusion dance of the three of them, if you want to go that route. So the film used various ways to portray Chucky. Watching the movie, you can kind of see like there's a blend of like animatronic work, there's like some actors, probably child and small people playing Chucky. So yeah, they blended both in there. Chucky's cosmetics transitioned from looking toy-like to a more human look, which you can kind of see his metamorphosis throughout the movie. The film created multiple Chucky animatronics, such as a flailing tantrum Chucky, which he does a lot, a walking Chucky, which he also does a lot, and a stationary Chucky. The animatronic's face was controlled by a remote control through a rig that goes on one's face and captures facial movements. So this tech back in like 88 was like pushing the boundaries of what was possible with this specific technology. So it's pretty cool. And, it hasn't aged poorly, but it hasn't aged well. It's just, it is what it is, but still pretty cool. The original title for this movie was Batteries Not Included, which I think is actually a pretty damn good title for this movie.
However, the batteries were included. That would be an inaccurate title. I can see why they scrapped it.
Yeah. That scene wasn't originally in the movie, and then they were like, okay, well, we can't keep this title. And the reason they couldn't keep that title is because Steven Spielberg was making a film of the same title at the same time. So, you're not going to step on Steven Spielberg's toes at that point. The title was changed to Blood Buddy.
That's a little harder than Child's Play.
Yeah, I mean, you got that.
I feel like Child's Play fits it a little bit more than Blood Buddy.
Exactly. So they settled on Child's Play, and obviously that, the right choice. I do agree. Child's Play just like kind of rolls off the tongue and just better encompasses the movie as a whole.
Yeah, and the situation.
So according to an interview with Brad Dourif, who plays Chucky, the voice of Chucky, his daughter, who was 7 years old at the time when he was recording voices for this movie, came into the room for one of his recording sessions, and it was the scene where he was screaming at the end of the movie when he gets thrown into the fireplace.
Yeah.
No one knew that she was in the room, not even Brad, and she screamed bloody murder and ran out of the room crying.
Poor girl.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine I don't know how many takes that scene took, but like, I mean, my man Brad's like stretching his vocal cords right there. Like, he is screaming. He is like Sean Shamel, like Goku going Super Saiyan 3 screaming in that scene. Like, he is going hard in the paint. So yeah, those are the fun facts I have. I don't know how much fun you had, but those are the facts that I have.
I think we touched on a bunch of things that I took notes on, so cool. I'll touch on them if we get to them.
Alrighty. So we kind of talked about our experience with Child's Play, like the franchise in general. Neither of us have had previous experience, but I will say, just growing up, I feel like this movie was on, like, not this movie, but movies from this franchise were on a lot, just on the TV when I was growing up. I feel like I can remember like hanging out when I was like a kid, like hanging out in my parents' room, and like their TV was on. It was like on AMC or something, and Chucky is on the screen. I actually remember, I don't know if this is just random, but The Bride of Chucky, which is I think the fourth movie in the franchise or third movie in the franchise. I think it's the fourth movie in the franchise where Chucky actually gets his ex-girlfriend to become a doll, I guess. I don't know. Using that black voodoo magic. I have no idea. I just remember that movie. I remember just her face and his face just like doing shit.
Yeah. And I think I said it in the Paranormal Activity episode, but still the only thing I can remember about this movie is I think I was at my aunt's house and I think it was New Year's. And I remember this being on the TV when I walked in the room. And I think it was right after Chucky got out of the fireplace. And I was like, nope, I am not fucking watching this. And indeed, I did not.
Like, I don't even know, like, what was going through little Derick's head at that time. It's like,
I don't know, man.
this thing is just melted. And it's like, what is happening?
Yeah, I wasn't into it.
And there's also, like, apparently his girlfriend gives birth, and then there's a sequel to that called The Seed of Chucky. So, like, these things, I mean, in the movie, it's stated, it's lore, that you become more human the longer you remain in the body or in the doll. So I guess she was in it long enough to develop reproductive organs.
And don't need to think about that until we watch that movie.
Well, I'm just going to point at the elephant in the room. There's obviously, like, the dolls. There is a doll sex scene probably. And there is actually. I remember, like, kind of seeing that. Not that I've seen it. Like,
yeah, go ahead.
The full scene, but I do remember there being, like, flashes of, like, dolls getting freaky. And
yeah,
I mean, we all know where babies come from.
Yep.
Right? We do, right? So there is a doll sex scene in Bride of Chucky, apparently, and that's how she gives birth. Just putting that out there.
Which is funny because when I was watching back through it today, I really appreciate the animatronics. I know that was something we touched on, but I just want to make sure I mention that the animatronics for Chucky's face, pretty really fucking good.
Yeah,
pretty fucking good through all phases too. Like as he gets more human, and then also after he gets thrown in the fire.
Yeah,
like it's chef's kiss to that.
It's got like the curled lip and everything, like the mouth, and especially is like very animated.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, they were definitely go ahead.
But oh shoot, I lost it. Sorry.
You're good. Yeah, no, they like
got it back.
Oh, okay.
So again, when I rewatched it, the funny thing, because shoot, I lost it. Nope. Don't remember why I started that whole thing. Went on the animatronics tangent, couldn't find my way back. Here we are.
It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. Just because we stumble doesn't mean we've lost our way.
I don't even remember how we got here.
Where are we? What year is it? The animatronics, the facial expressions. Yeah, like I said in the facts that I stated earlier, they were pushing the technological boundaries at this time in 1988. Like, yeah, the animatronics do hold up pretty well in 2024. And it's funny because I know they took some inspiration from Jaws. Oh. And like Jaws, the animatronic shark mostly didn't work. There were some animatronic issues with this movie, per my research, that the animatronics weren't always working properly. So I think the original cut of this movie had Chucky, the animatronic version of Chucky, present more in like the ending and the beginning. Mm-hmm. So since they're having so many technological issues and they were just like kind of throwing money out the window, they kind of took the Jaws approach with like less is more with Chucky. And I think the final result is really effective, or more effective. You have like some POV shots, especially like in the beginning, like shots like from Chucky's perspective, walking through the house, especially early in the movie before he kills Maggie. Was it Aunt Maggie or just Karen's friend?
That was quick. That was like the first half hour of the movie. Aunt Maggie was donezo.
Yeah, but you really don't see Chucky for like a while. Like I would say like until that part, like mainly it's just like, again, like POV camera shots of him walking around, and then you have just like the stationary doll. Just like
for the first like half of the movie, that's all it is. And then, the second half happens.
Like this doll's getting like just carried by Andy and then like dragged on the ground by Maggie and Karen. And it's just like it's obviously moving, but you don't see it actually moving. Like the scene where it just is sitting on the couch watching the news.
Yeah.
The TV turns on and the doll is just sitting there stationary. I don't know. This movie is just. I appreciate that this movie doesn't take itself too seriously. That's probably the thing that works the most for me in this movie is just like the intent to not take this movie, like to take itself too seriously. Like it's pretty self-aware. Like, come on, like this.
Yeah, they're like, doll's alive. It's trying to kill you.
Yeah,
like,
in theory,
how's it alive? They're like, just there's magic or something.
Yeah,
but he's
like,
there.
There is some goofy. There's some goofy shit in like just the scary movie realm in general. But like this probably takes the cake for just being the goofiest and just most out there. But
gosh,
I'm about it. I think it's fun. So. Yeah, I mean, you see, you have and it's actually kind of it's a fun premise.
Yeah,
I think you got this serial killer who's like on the brink of death, and he just happens to know like voodoo black magic, and is able to transfer his soul into this doll. I don't know. I just think that's hilarious, and then that scene in general is just fucking crazy because.
There's a lot going on in that scene for like a cold open prologue of, a armed pursuit of a criminal into a toy store.
Yeah.
I was like,
he gets shot and he's like stumbling around and then he just like kind of clumsily knocks himself into like the stack of good boy dolls and then they all follow him. Kind of reminded me of Jingle All the Way a little bit when Arnold's like, just like toying, like just getting like tossing himself around in the toy store when he's trying to get the Turbo Man doll. Kind of goofy like that. And then just like the actual scene where he's transferring his soul to the doll, and then like the lightning comes in and there's a huge fucking explosion. Like, why is that happening? Why is there a huge explosion? And how does the doll survive that explosion?
Probably the magic, huh?
Probably the magic protected it, I guess. You gotta just assume that. And then the homeless guy finds him. So I don't know, stuff like that, and then just like I don't know, some of the scene, like some of the like the scene where the detective is in the car and Chucky's trying to stab him.
Yeah,
I just thought that was kind of goofy, but like not in a bad way. It just like
because how did he not get him at all?
I know
you can't sit that far forward in your seat.
How big
that 10-inch kitchen knife isn't making it into your body at some point. And then he goes under the seat and tries stabbing him like up through the seat. In the balls.
There's always like a scene like that where like, oh, it's a man. He almost gets stabbed in the balls every time.
I don't understand how he didn't. Like, how the logistics are not working for me, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that scene overall was kind of whimsical, and I think intentionally so. Like this doll is just in this guy's car and trying to stab him with a kitchen knife. Kitchen knife is like as big as the doll, like as big as his body. But then like in this scene in particular, like I'm questioning like the physics of the doll. How strong is this thing? Because he's able to like choke out this grown ass man. And then there's this, like, even when he kills Maggie and knocks her out the window with the hammer, like, what the hell? Like, how, first of all, how did he hit her in the head? Did he jump? Did he throw it?
Yeah, he was on the counter, and I think he just hit her, and she stumbled back.
Okay.
And fell out the window.
He was on the counter. You're right. So I guess that makes sense. But she gets knocked back so far. Like, I guess he has.
If I turn around and my friend's kid's new doll is on the counter and hits me with a hammer, I don't think I'm just standing there. I think I am backing up a little bit.
You're going to hit with a hammer and stumble back like 20 feet and then fall out the window.
I was like 5.
It felt longer than that. I don't know. It was a pretty crazy death, but. So he's obviously like, I'm assuming he just like has kept his human strength just in this doll's body, but then he gets tossed around like a rag doll. Like, how many times in this movie does Chucky just get thrown? You talk about pick-upable characters. Chucky is the most pick-upable character ever. Like, he's a doll. He weighs the same as a doll. He just has this like human strength, like this, whatever, like 40-ish year old man strength in this doll body. He just gets thrown around like a rag doll. I just think it's so funny when he just like when they just kick him and he goes like he just goes like 20 feet into a wall.
Jesus.
Stuff like that. I don't know. Little details like that just kind of make this movie like obviously you suspend belief with this whole thing, but like stuff like that is just like it's just silly, but in a fun way. Like I'm having fun, but it's just it's fucking scary. Or it's fucking not scary. It's fucking silly and borderline
That's
stupid.
so different.
It's yeah. But yeah, what worked for you in this movie the most? I know you like the animatronics, but was there anything else that really worked for you?
It was mostly the animatronics, honestly. Every time Chucky was on screen, I kept thinking like how decent he looked. I hesitated to say good, but I mean how good he looked really. I feel like the only other thing that I might say that was good was the fact that like you said, with the animatronics problems, you really don't get like killer Chucky until the second half of the movie.
Yeah, basically.
But after that, it's like all crazy Chucky all the time, which I liked.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, yeah, the tone of the movie overall is what I liked the most, but I think the kills are pretty good in this movie. We talked about Maggie getting it's because getting hammered, but she gets hammered to the face and then falls out the window and lands on the car like just a bad death.
Rough.
Nobody wants to go through that.
Yeah, especially at the time that it is now.
Yeah, and I mean the probably the
you know.
I like
we had sorry.
And I was gonna say then Eddie.
Yeah, I was gonna say Eddie Caputo is next.
Yeah, his partner who probably has like, well, I'm gonna assume he died instantaneously, but who knows? But
I don't think that kills you instantaneously.
No, that was a pretty big explosion.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't think that's killing you instantaneously.
He's writhing and he's on fire, writhing in pain.
Oh yeah,
probably. I mean, that's what Chucky would want. I'm surprised actually Chucky went that route with killing him because he was pretty like in the beginning of the movie when he's like, I'm going to get like he basically just that's his goal. This entire movie is to kill Eddie and to kill the detective who shot him.
Yeah, and you would kind of think like. Yeah, he's gonna like torment these people, like make it a painful death.
Yeah,
but he does not, for the most part, do that.
Like get up close and personal, make it like intimate. You know, at least with the detective, he's like trying to stab him in the balls in the car.
Still hate it.
But yeah, Eddie dies in a gas explosion when Chucky turns up the gas on the stove and. Then Eddie fires a shot because he hears a noise and I guess he's trigger happy and he's spooked. And then there's this huge explosion. But my favorite death in this movie is probably the voodoo scene with John, the guy who like taught him how to do the voodoo magic.
Yeah.
That scene's gnarly. It's really good.
It is pretty gnarly.
It's really good.
What happens in that scene?
So Chucky... This is after Chucky learns that like he's not invincible, like he's not immortal, and this is when he also learns like he's going to turn more. He's becoming more and more human the longer he stays in the body. So he goes to this guy's house because like he's the guy that taught me all this stuff. He can explain what's happening. So he confronts John, and John basically just like. Calls him an abomination that he and is upset with him that he used his magic for evil.
Yeah.
And then Chucky finds this voodoo doll. I'm a little confused on the voodoo doll. Like, did John just have this thing ready to go for no like? I wouldn't just keep a voodoo doll there's probably a voodoo doll that Chucky was able to like. Use I don't know if he's able to like I don't know how voodoo dolls work really. I just know like
I was under the impression that he made it.
You think Chucky made the voodoo doll?
Yeah.
Okay. I
mean that's his contingency plan, right?
I guess.
I mean, you wouldn't walk into John's house with nothing to threaten him with.
That's true. I guess you're right. That makes more sense. I mean, he is a doll. I mean, what's he really gonna do? Especially if he can't just like fight this guy like head on. Like this guy's gonna kick his ass. But yeah, he takes the voodoo doll and he like snaps its leg, snaps its arm, and like the effects for like the arm and the leg breaking are gnarly, and the sound effects, they were really good. And he like his leg breaks and he falls on the ground, like you could hear the crunch and everything. I was like, yeah, it was brutal. Like that was definitely like the most fun death in the movie, I thought. But I really enjoyed it. And then he stabs him in the chest and he like in the heart, I guess.
And he was never not going to do that. Like I don't think John should have given in at all because he knows he's going to kill him no matter what. So why give up that information?
I guess. And I don't know, like, I wonder what John's knowledge of Charles Lee Ray was before, like, when he taught him this. Like, obviously he didn't know he was a murderer. At least I don't think he did. I mean, if he did, he wouldn't have been surprised that, like, oh, he used this magic for evil. I don't know. I feel like there's some backstory there that's missing a little bit that I would like to know more of. And then you have what else? There's the electrocution death.
That was my favorite
doctor.
one. Because that one's brutal too.
It's go ahead. You talk about it.
Yeah, so in that one, they have taken the kid away from Karen, the mom. Because they think that he's mentally unwell because he's making up stories about a doll coming alive. But Chucky goes to where he is and tries to kill him. So the kid's like running through this medical facility, ends up in like an operating room, and there's a little bit of a spat between him and Chucky. And then at some point the doctor comes in and like tries to sedate the little kid.
Yeah.
And while he's trying to like poke him with the needle, Chucky comes in and just, I think, like slashes him in the calf or something like that. He goes down and he puts like electroshock therapy headband on this doctor and then just cranks it up and lets it loose.
And this shit like went on for a little bit.
Yeah, it went on for a while. And like it would cut to the doctor's face and then to like Chucky or Andy or something like that. And it would cut back to the doctor and he's like a little bit more toasty and like ashy, and it happens a couple times, and like at the end, like his eyes are bulging out, and, like red and bloody, and like there's blood on his like teeth and in his mouth. I'm like, damn, this is
that was effective.
This is grotesque.
Yeah, that was pretty fucked. And I think is Andy in the room watching that happen?
Yeah,
I think he is, right? So that's pretty scarring for a child. You know, this whole thing's happening, but then you watch that. This guy's literally getting fried to death.
Yeah, he was basically right next to every kill so far. Maggie, he was in his own room. With
yes,
Eddie
but he didn't see it.
He was outside.
Yes, he saw the explosion.
Who else died? Oh,
he didn't see John. Yeah. He didn't see John die.
Still pretty rotten luck for the kid.
Yeah, pretty much. Andy is gonna have some trauma. He's gonna have to probably see a therapist at some point about this. Maybe that's part of the sequels. Maybe that's the storyline in the sequels. Like Andy grows up and has to see a therapist.
Andy seeks help.
Andy seeks help. I think that's the last death. Was the electrocution one. I don't think anyone else dies. I think there's obviously some close calls, but no one actually dies.
Yeah.
So characters. There's a few characters in this movie. I know when we talked about this movie off recording, you were not a fan of Andy's performance in the movie.
After a second viewing, I will say, I still hold that position.
I figured you were going to say that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, and I think this was this kid's first like acting role. So, you know, it is what it is. He was 6 years old.
Yeah. And it's a kid. I'm not expecting a ton from a kid, but like, if he, oh, can I go to sleep? Well, yeah, I guess, or whatever.
His line reading was a little weird. Like, I don't know. I actually.
It's good. I guess it's a kid. It's a little kid. I get it.
His line read at the end when he lights Chucky on fire is just kind of just hilarious, actually.
I was like, goodbye to the end, friend.
Yeah, just the way he says it. Like, he's definitely reading it, but I don't know. It's just the delivery itself is just kind of funny. It's like it's this big moment,
friend.
But he says it in a more childish voice. This is the end, friend. Just the like the dramatic like build up to it. He just like drops the match in there. It's just it's just really funny. But I thought like he played a kid well, like, you know, like when he has to like actually try to act and like deliver lines, like, yeah, not great, but like just being like a kid, like being himself, being a child, like excited to get a toy and like wanting the toy and everything in the beginning. Like I thought that was good. I thought like the relationship between him and the mom was actually like pretty wholesome. Like I bought it.
The one scene I did like is right before the electrocution scene, where he's locked in his room and he sees Chucky coming up the fire stairs from his window, and he's like, he's here, he's gonna kill me, and he's like he realizes that no one's coming to help him, and he just like slumps against the door and starts crying, and I'm like, actually that's pretty good.
Yeah, that tracks.
That's pretty good.
That's how a 6-year-old would react to that. Just the fact that the 6-year-old is like already exposed to like death and like just knows like I might
Mortal
die,
danger. Yeah.
and like knows like, oh, this is what happens. Like I will cease to live. It's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Again, he's gonna need a therapist. The mom, I really liked the mom in this movie. I think what's her face, Catherine.
Yeah.
Catherine Hicks. I thought she did a great job. I thought she really sold it. She did. I know. She's a mom in Seventh Heaven, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So she, and you know, she could be a mom in real life. Who knows? But she, you know, she delivered the mom role well.
I really liked her performance in this movie too.
I thought she genuinely like cared for the kid. You know, down on her, like a down on her luck mom, just trying to like give her kid like a birthday present that he'll never forget. He got her.
Success.
She got him close. Success.
Big success.
Well, yeah, he'll never forget this shit again. Therapist, but she gives him clothes on his birthday for a 6-year-old. Is that just kind of like, how do we feel about that? I don't know.
I'll decline to answer.
Did you receive clothes when you were 6 years old?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like I know she's like they're down on her luck and like can't really afford a lot, but there's gotta be some cheap toys you can get for your kid. Like, come on, clothes, socks or whatever. They're not gonna do it for a 6-year-old. But luckily she's able to get the good boy doll in the most sketchy way possible from the peddler, like just has it in like a shopping cart. Again, don't know how that doll wasn't just like burnt to a crisp, but again, the magic probably protected it. But
yeah.
But I just liked her performance. Thought she just played a mom really well. And when she's like trying to like convince people that like, oh, the doll is actually alive, like the desperation and like, I don't know, it makes sense. Like no one who would believe that, you know, and just her trying to like convince people was good. I liked it.
Yeah. I like that she was strong, I guess, or she held her ground.
She wasn't weak.
So with you know, getting the toy for her kid, no matter what, even though she, you know, abandoned her post at work to go buy this, even when her best friend died and she had to figure something out, and she was talking to Andy, and you know, even when she found out the doll was alive and was like, all right, well, cop, if you're not going to help me, I'm going to go to his house and find out more shit about him. Like she was strong.
Dude, she goes through a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
Like she wants the kid. She wants to get this gift for her kid. She's like, she's already like they're broke, and she has this miserable job with this miserable boss. Her friend gets killed. Her son gets accused of killing said friend. And then she almost gets assaulted by these homeless people, and then all the shit that happens after that.
Yeah.
Like this woman is going through a lot in this movie. She might also need a therapist after this. Her and Andy can have joint therapy sessions. And then finally I want to talk about the detective really quick. Prince Humperdinck himself, Chris Sarandon. I just thought his performance was kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say he was phoning it in. I just feel like it was inconsistent. Like, I feel like he was trying to be, there were some scenes where he's being serious, and then some scenes where he's just like, he's embracing like the silliness of what he's doing.
Yeah. And it felt less like Chris Sarandon's acting and more of, I don't think the character was really written that deep.
No, definitely
Like, he
not.
didn't really have, a ton of facets to show off, I guess.
No, I mean, he's just the guy. He's just the male counterpart to the mom and like kind of the love interest, I guess. But
Yeah, over the course of the movie, they go from Detective Norris and Mrs. Barclay to Mike and Karen. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, we're on first name basis now. Okay,
I wonder what Child's Play 2 is going to be like.
I don't know. Could be stepdaddy to Andy.
Oh, I hate that that went directly into my ears.
Stepdaddy. We're gonna have to find out. All right, well, I got to shout out Brad Dourif really quick. I mean, as Charles Lee Ray, we don't see a lot of him, but whatever. But as Chucky, again, his voice, iconic. Just when he turns it up and when he's like yelling and shit, I mean, he's doing such a great job. I can feel it. He's going for it. He's just like going all in on this voice acting, and I just liked it. I really enjoyed it. He's fun. He's in like every movie too. Like, that's just who he is. He's Chucky.
That's kind of
he's fully embraced it. Yeah.
Good job.
Exactly. All right, so we'll wrap up here, but favorite scene really quick. Do you have a favorite scene from the movie?
I like when Chucky first comes out of the fire and his face is all melted, but his face still works, and you can see like the teeth and the eye moving.
Yeah.
I think that is super effective. I liked that.
Yeah, that was good. And they didn't. She shoots him first. Okay, she knows that the shot to the heart will kill him, right?
Yeah.
She shoots him like
she shoots
a bunch
him
of
a
times.
ton.
and she doesn't aim for the heart. Like, what? I know his like heart's probably tiny because he's an adult, but
yeah, I mean, she's also not used to handling a gun, probably, huh?
I guess, but like, where the heart is located, and just put the gun there. I don't know, whatever. Nitpick. My favorite scene is probably the scene where she discovers that the batteries aren't in the doll. I just think that scene's really good. It's tense. You can kind of see her just like the fear in her face start to like appear, and she's like, "Holy shit, my son was right. This doll is really alive." Like, there's like, it's just the realization she goes through in that couple minutes is just pretty cool. And when Chucky actually like comes alive and like says like, "You bitch, you slut," and then just like attacks her, just really good scene.
I actually had a problem with that scene.
Okay.
I don't think she should have realized what was going on that quickly. Like, when she saw the batteries, I don't think that's grounds enough for like, this doll is alive, my son was right. Like, you got it from a street peddler. It could just be open box. Like, someone could have batteries in there. And then she did the thing that you would do, which is go in there, open up the little battery door. And I feel like once you see there's no batteries in there, that's when you can realize it. You shouldn't do it 15 feet beforehand when you're like, look at these D batteries.
Why are these here and not inside the doll? They could be extra batteries.
Too close a line, or too direct a line for me.
They should just be thankful that the batteries came with the doll in the first place.
It doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, they don't make them like they used to.
80s, 90s thing.
All right, well, that's really all I have to say about this movie. I really did enjoy it overall. I think it's fun. It could become like a consistent year-round viewing for me. I really did like it that much. I think it kind of fits that bill. It's not too scary. It's not too dumb. It's kind of right in the middle.
Yeah, I want to try the second one because it's if internet says it's scarier than the second one, I'm definitely down for that.
All right. Well, then I'm right there with you. I'll watch that and we can talk about that at a later date.
Cool. Do you want to throw a rating out at all or no?
So in the context of scary movie, I'll give this movie a 7 out of 10.
I'm with you there.
Cool. Very good. You want to take us out?
Yeah, sure. Well, this is the end, friend, of our podcast. You can follow us on Instagram. We're at 5 o'clock sweats. On X, we are also at 5 o'clock sweats. We're available in video form on YouTube or in audio form on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Well, there we go. And as always,
stay sweaty.
He's like, no,
I know we're
this
desperate
is
for
where
views,
I
but I
live
won't
now.
exploit your cuteness.
I live on you now.
So
Forever.
the description for him from the owner was like, if he could be absorbed into your body, that would be his preference.
Well,
And
here we are.
She is not wrong. He just always wants to be. He's gotten a lot better, but when I first had him here, like the first day, he was just constantly trying to just play on me, which is great and all, but sometimes it wasn't wanted.
Yeah.
I had to be a little stern with him, but he's been much better. He lay down, but he lay back down.